Good afternoon, Superkickin with Steven fans. Thank you for joining me here on the Facebook page, joining me on the YouTube page for BW Sports 1, and for joining us on BW Sports Facebook page. Real quick, want to give a shout out to Elite Performance. I just stopped by there this morning. Finally met in person some of our fellow co-hosts. Met Damon, Dan, Tom, and Monica, which is on there. So let's give you a quick plug for the Elite Performance Center because they're doing a little powerlifting competition today. And if you want to get fit and get some muscles working, so here you go. Let's do that real quick, and then we'll bring on Greg, and we'll get started with our show. So definitely check out Elite Performance for all your muscle needs there. So let's bring on our favorite co-host, Greg, the one right there, ready to talk up Hell in a Cell, ready to talk up Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and of course his sons who are in the conference finals. How many games are you calling, Greg, for your sons?
Oh man, we're on a roll, man. We're on fire. We had a little scare with Chris Paul. He's in the COVID protocol. And the challenger was just determined last night. The Clippers beat the Jazz to close them out. And tomorrow night, I believe, is game one.
Oh, okay. So no rest for the Clippers. I didn't realize. Well, I guess one game, but one day.
Nope, yeah. No rest, and they're man down because Kawhi Leonard's out. So their super team is no more as Paul George and the rest of them. And
playoff P.
That's right. And you got the red hot Suns team coming in. And there's no better way to mark their arrival than taking out the number 1, 2, and 3 teams in the conference on the way to the finals. So you get to knock out both LA teams and Denver and the MVP. So there's no better way to get to the top than go through that gauntlet. So super hyped for my sons.
You saying 5 games or 6 games?
I'll call it 5. We're going to have one game probably without Chris Paul. We're still waiting to see if he's cleared the COVID protocol, but if not, he's probably going to miss game 1 tomorrow night. Other than that, I'm going to give him, say, Suns in 5, and then bring on the East.
Now, I wonder if he would have been vaccinated, would he have missed any time?
No, he has been vaccinated. He got vaccinated in February.
Okay, so he's okay. So that almost helped in a way.
Absolutely.
Because if he wasn't vaccinated and he gets COVID, he's probably out the rest of the time. I would think.
He'd miss at least half the series. Depending on how competitive the Suns were. Okay. But, they all got vaccinated in February, and so it's shortening his timetable considerably, especially they're checking to see if he can get 2 back-to-back negative tests. And
so he can
play tomorrow, but it's probably going to look like the second game on Tuesday. So, but I still like their chances, because he's only going to miss 1, maybe 2 games at the most. But the way the Suns are playing, they can afford a game without him. And he's got a shoulder injury. He's making better at the same time. So the rest is at an unfortunate time, but it's still a good time for him to get back at peak performance.
Yeah. And we got Bucks and Nets game 7 tonight. And then is it Hawks and Sixers tomorrow? Is that game 7 too? I know
I
Bucks and
remember.
Nets for sure.
I think the Hawks may close that out. The last time I saw something last night saying Trey Young was going off. I never
Okay,
saw
I
what the
can't
final
remember.
results of that was, but yeah,
Yeah,
I'm pulling for
or
Atlanta
maybe
because there's another super
first
team
time. Yeah.
out of there. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. So, anyways, yeah, good stuff happened. But game sevens are always fun. So I'm pretty sure that's
oh yeah,
today or tonight. So that should be interesting to kind of see because either one of those teams could, represent the East. You think so? But we got our own big stuff to talk about. We have NXT with a super return, which was not that unexpected, but it was cool to see. We had the Hell in a Cell match last night, which was weird to see. The first time, I believe, on network television, and the first time since '98 when it was Kane and Mankind, I think in a tag team match or something like that. So it'd been a while for Hell in a Cell. I'm still not sure why they pulled the trigger on it, but if the network wants them, I guess that's what they give them. So let's get started with Raw, though. We'll kind of do some quick hits on this. Give you the Raw, SmackDown talk, NXT talk. Then we'll do our Hell in a Cell predictions and get you off on the day. Nikki Cross continues her winning ways, defeating Charlotte by countout. I'm going to assume we got to put Nikki Cross in a title match soon. Do you think that happens maybe like after Hell in a Cell? Does it maybe happen at Money in the Bank? Triple threat, your favorite type of matches, Greg? What do we got for Nikki Cross next?
um, and my I still hate it. The shiny happy Nikki is not doing anything for me. I like Sanity Nikki, but that's just me. She's gonna get inserted into the title picture because who else you gonna put in there? Nia and Shayna are doing their own thing, and they're not ready to come into the picture. And Charlotte and Rhea are figuring out who's going to have the title. So there's no obvious next in line, and they're using this angle with Nikki to push somebody to the front. And we've seen Asuka for long enough getting a pinball between Charlotte and Rhea. So she's cannon fodder. She'll take up the next 4 weeks to the next pay per view, and there's no Daniel Bryan moment about to happen here. So this is like the last little run of throwaway matches before we get back to live crowds. We still got another month before WWE goes on the road for good, and so it's kind of a backhanded way of giving Nikki some shine before. Okay, now we're getting back in front of the crowd. Now we got to turn it up. And so Nikki will probably get the championship match at the next pay per view. But this is just the bridge to live crowds. So that's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Yeah, and Rhea Ripley defeated Asuka later on in the night. We keep giving Rhea Ripley some good wins. So here's the next two matches. So we had John Morrison defeat Jeff Hardy, and then Cedric Alexander was out there. He said if he would beat Jeff Hardy would have to retire. I kind of want them to pull the trigger on it. I mean, you can bring Jeff Hardy back whenever. We know how retirements go in wrestling. But we had Jeff Hardy defeat Cedric Alexander. So I don't know. Like, what was the point? Unless Cedric beats him at the, like Money in the Bank next month or something like that. But I guess I just want too much for Cedric Alexander. He's not going to get it. And that's probably my own problem. But Greg, we got these two matches kind of back to back. Give us your thoughts on these kind of back to back matches and Cedric Alexander and Jeff Hardy's, involvement with each other.
I guess just an obvious bridge from one to the other, going from John Morrison, which there's kind of no purpose in doing that really, to Cedric and Jeff starting a program. I don't know about you, but I do not care to hear another Cedric Alexander promo.
Do you think he's too, like, he forces it too much? It doesn't feel natural. when he's
Right, right.
talking.
And the way his voice is crackling, and it makes my throat hurt listen to him.
Because
And
he's not a heel. That's the thing. Like, he's not, his story shouldn't be a heel. Like when we think back to his CWC stuff and just the 205 live stuff. I mean, he's a good guy. Like, and that's fine. But like you said, I think it doesn't feel natural for him. It's like Natalya when she tries to be the heel thing, the heel side. It just doesn't feel comfortable for them. So I agree. The Cedric guy, he's always like, and Jeff, and he's like yelling, and I'm like, dude, you don't need to yell. Like,
right,
you got to learn how to enunciate. Like, there's a way to use it in different ways. Like, yell when you want to, but then also reel back. Almost the dark side of a heel. Where you have to listen. But yes, I definitely agree with you. I think they're just doing him wrong. Like, and why did John Morrison defeat Jeff Hardy? Like, that made no sense. You just have Jeff Hardy win, and then just have Cedric Alexander say, well, I can beat Jeff Hardy. Then if he loses, he loses. But should we just get to the next stuff? Because Eva Marie came back with a mysterious woman who was never seen on NXT UK ever, Greg.
no,
Never, ever seen. She has no name,
Jeez.
but she is named a.k.a. Piper Niven, who actually faced Toni Storm for the title at one point and was on NXT UK, but we're not supposed to know who she is. I love this, actually. I kind of love that they use somebody in Eva Marie's place, and you have Eva Marie announcing herself as the winner, because this is just going to build up Piper. When the crowds are back, it's going to get the crowd wanting her just to turn on Eva Marie, and I think it could almost build her up a little bit. So, if I feel bad for Naomi, it had to come at Naomi's benefit or almost disservice, but I think this is going to work out okay. And it's good to maybe almost do it before the crowds get back, because you can kind of tweak it if you need to. So you got a month to kind of mess with it and then see if the crowds are digging it. And I think if you play it right, it could work out okay. Because you're going to have the crowds hating Eva Marie, saying she's the winner, but if her mysterious cohort is doing the work, you're going to get the crowd coming like, okay. So I think it's going to be okay. What do you think, Greg? What do you dig in this, or do you think do you think we should do something else with Eva Marie?
Yeah, I get it. It's classic heel stuff to do there, and I love how they nobody knows who Piper Niven is. Nobody knows or watches NXT UK. Is that what they're trying to tell us? I mean, we all watch NXT, and if we watch NXT and love it as much as we do, we're gonna watch NXT UK, and we know who Piper Niven is, and we know where she can go. So I was happy to see her on the main roster, getting some shine, and those of us in the know are going to know who she is and going to look forward to her matches. And then with the obvious turn in mind down the road, and then Eva's going to have to fight for herself or find another lackey to throw at her until she has no choice but to get in the ring. But yeah, we see where it's going, and we'll wait it out and see, and enjoy watching Piper and hating Eva Marie more. Talking all her self-empowerment stuff. You can do it, kind of stuff. It's old hat by now, and coming out of her mouth is very, very false considering what she's doing. So she's going to get booed out of the building every night, and it's going to be good for her.
And that's probably the best thing. Like you said, the talking and not backing it up. That's going
right.
to. I was also wondering, it's funny that on Twitter, Eva Marie tweeted out, "Here's my new partner," and she tagged her. She tagged Piper Niven. I was like, well, why did we not just give her the name? I'm hearing they might change her name, and that's why they're not telling her yet, which makes sense, because if she's on the main roster, she's got to get merchandise for the new name. So, we'll see. But, like you said, it's funny, because I even thought Corey Graves was on an NXT UK show once. I know Michael Cole was. Maybe I'm just saying about Michael Cole. It's probably Michael Cole and Nigel McGuinness that won the very first takeover UK or whatever it was. But yeah, just funny that nobody, they'd act like, well, we don't know who she is. But and I could maybe see the Jimmy Smith guy, like he could play it up because he's literally just new, But I don't know. It was a weird. But like we said, I could see the bigger picture. And we'll see if that bigger picture turns out how they should. So, RK Bro defeated the New Day. Just, those two teams are going back. I personally think RK Bro needs a tag team title shot. Even if they lose, I'd still want to throw them in the tag team picture or tag team title picture. So, how about you, Greg? Do you want to see them get a tag team title shot down the road or just kind of keep going like they are?
Yeah, it's just the only point with them. Otherwise, why do it? They're getting hot. I think we started drifting away from when is Randy going to RKO Matt and leave him land to actually enjoying this team. And they've done a great job of building it up and making it look like it. Okay, here's comes right here, and not doing it, and at the same time pulling us into it. And the way they've been. The two play off each other perfectly. And then you add in, Matt using Randy's moves and then Randy using Matt's moves. And, it's drawing you in and drawing you in and drawing you in. And it's going to be that perfect moment, probably in a title match when it's time for them to, get the win. And then we're going to get an RKO out of nowhere. And, it's build them up to get them to the peak. And then, bam, jerk the ball out from under us. So the only way this can go is towards a title shot, and I'm loving the way they're doing it right now.
And you wondered, could you pull that first Raw with people, because that could get the crowd kind of like that big pop. So I'll be curious, like I've said, I wonder if we maybe might pull the trigger on Riddle, kind of being fed up with Orton, not going along with him. So maybe we have Riddle kind of turn on Orton and, kind of go the opposite way, because we all think it's going to be Orton doing the turning. But, maybe that first Raw with people, like, why not have Riddle just fed up with it and takes him out and, acts like he's all cool, though. But, yeah, we're definitely ready for crowds to be back. So I feel like you said, I think the crowd would be really digging into this. Especially if Orton does one of the if he does the jump in the middle of the ring like he's done before, way back in the day. We're not going to get him any flip flops, but he could at least do that cool jump. So I did bring up Rhea Ripley defeat Asuka. Not much there. Alexa Bliss defeated Nia Jax by DQ. The big story here was Alexa Bliss had Reginald hypnotized. So that was kind of fun to see. Reginald helped Nia Jax try to win, but or not take the loss. Sorry, but we had Alexa Bliss showing another side of her. We're going to get Alexa Bliss, Shayna Baszler at Hell in a Cell, and I have no idea what way that match is going to go, but I think it's going to be interesting. So, any thoughts, Greg, on Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax happening here with Reginald being hypnotized by Alexa Bliss there for a few seconds?
Yeah, the hypnotizing thing was a little funny for a minute. It reminded me of a dog, the way it tilts its head when it's.
Yes.
That's what that reminded me of, so that made me laugh. And I have zero expectation for Bliss and Baszler and what they're doing. So I hope that they can do something impressive, because the whole angle with Bliss and Shayna has done nothing for me. They haven't explained anything. Why is Shayna the target? There's no backstory to this whole thing, so you have no reason to be invested. And so the fact they've done a crap job explaining what's going on, aside from the story behind Lily and Bliss, there's There's nothing to it. So there's nothing for us to grab onto. So maybe some things will get explained, as during or after, in the aftermath of this match. But right now, I have zero expectation for it because they've done a crap job explaining it.
And of course, we're going to have no Lily, it sounds like, for the time being. So that's going to be, I wonder if they might have Lily just pop out of nowhere at some point. I think that could be like a red herring or whatever, your decoy, to say that Lily won't be there, but then Lily shows up at some point. So Jackson Riker defeat Elias by countout. That's all we got to say about that. Sure, I've got nothing, Greg, on Jackson Riker and Elias. I'm sorry. You could have at it. I'll let you speak for us. I got nothing. I can't get into it.
I agree. I mean, it's what they're doing with Riker makes no sense. He looks like too much of Zack Ryder.
Yes, he looks like a Zack Ryder,
name, the look,
10 years
everything
in the future. Like he looks like a beaten down Zack Ryder.
He needs to change his whole appearance, his whole gimmick, because the whole thing is just he's going to be one of those guys. He walks out and nobody's going to do anything, just crickets.
Yeah, so and that's the worst reaction.
Exactly.
Like we said, if you get no reaction, that's the worst reaction because that means people don't mean. I think you just need to shave the head. I think he needs to bite the bullet. I mean, he shaved it, but it's still got that weird, like the comb over. I'm like, dude, it's done. That's all she wrote there for you, man. You just gotta buzz cut it and move on because that thing is not left. So, and then finally we had Drew McIntyre, AJ Styles going at it. That ended in DQ because Bobby Lashley was out there. Almost was out there, and the Viking Raiders. So, of course, we got this 6-man tag match. We had Drew McIntyre and the Viking Raiders win. They defeat Bobby Lashley, AJ Styles, and Omos. I'll tell you what, Bobby Lashley got changed quick because they got, that commercial break, and he was running down the ring in his well, luckily he just has put on, a pair of tights and boots. But I thought he was just going to wrestle in the suit just to kind of see how, or the shirt and pants to kind of see how that goes. Drew McIntyre lands the Claymore kick on Bobby Lashley to win the match, which, of course, we all know that means Drew McIntyre ain't winning on Sunday. You can mark that down. That is my lock it and put in your pocket pick of the week. If we have our friend Rafael Esponza doing betting odds, he'd probably put that to whatever the best odds are ever because Drew ain't winning. And I still want Drew to win in front of a crowd. So I'm okay if Drew goes down at the bottom and starts his way back up, towards next year. So, Greg, any thoughts on the main event of Monday Night Raw?
Yeah, seen it once, seen it 1,000 times. And, I agree. So whoever finishes, with the pin on the go-home show is going to take the L on the pay-per-view 9 times out of 10. So, I was done with McIntyre as the champion for a while, so I'm still jonesing for that next month going by, and we hear Brock Lesnar's music coming out, and we get the match we want. So keep it on Lashley and keep pushing forward. And once we're back on the road full time, and we can build up Lesnar and Lashley, the dream match, let's go get that.
I mean, there's nobody else that we can throw at Lashley right now. If you want to do SummerSlam as big as you say you do in Vegas, I mean, you better be talking to Brock every day and just saying, hey, you can come on the Raw before SummerSlam and take out you could show up the Raw after we start live crowds and Raw before, but I just don't know who else. There's nobody else right now. If you would have went away from Drew, maybe you could have revisited that at SummerSlam, but you kind of, now we can't. We're going to end it here. Drew, I don't know what Drew's going to do for SummerSlam because I feel like I want him to do something a little bit bigger, but I think it'd almost be in the mid-card level that he'll do something. But Yeah, the only match for Lashley is Brock Lesnar. I mean, like I said, they better be Vince better get on his private jet, go to Canada, and say, "Hey, Brock, you're coming with me." Have Heyman with him. So,
And just bring the Brinks truck, and Brock will be ready.
You can bring Sable with you if you want. So, let's do a quick realty talk. We got a few commercials this hour, so I want to make sure we get them all in. We got some realty talk. We're going to talk up NXT next because that's the big return that we all want to talk about. So, realty talk first, then we'll get into Samoa Joe back in NXT.
What is up, everybody? It's your boy Dan over at BWSports1.com and Black and White Sports. And I'm wondering if you're ready to buy or sell that home, now's the time, and I got just the person for you. Mr. Sean Nugent, a.k.a. Rockstar Realtor himself. 317-503-8322. Put that home on the market. Get into your dream home with this man. Talk to Sean at Talk to Tucker today, 317-503-8322. And make sure you tell him the boys over at BWSports1.com sent you.
So there you go. If you want to get some realty done, definitely talk to Sean. But on to Tuesday night's episode of NXT. We had we had William Regal out there. The end of Takeover in Your House saw William Regal say a change is needed. You know, there's just too much chaos. I kind of thought they might write off William Regal because he's been in NXT from the start. And I'm sure he's ready. He's probably due for a break. So he's out there talking. You have Karrion Kross with Scarlett out there. Karrion Kross wants William Regal to say, "Hey, Kross was right. Kross was right." Then we hear the ooh ah music, and Samoa Joe's back on the scene, and the crowd was popping for it. Internet was blowing up for it. It had one of the top views on YouTube, which is saying a lot because it's Samoa Joe. It sounds like he'll be exclusively to NXT, which will be awesome because even if he doesn't wrestle, he's a good voice down there. He probably could be a good trainer, coach. I mean, there's all kinds of avenues. Would I have loved for him to go AEW and mess it up or mix it up there? Yeah. Maybe go back to Ring of Honor and, finish where he started. Yeah, but it never felt like he was going to be gone that long. Did it ever feel like that way to you, Greg?
The fact they released him to begin with threw up some red flags. And I would have loved to see him pop over in AEW and take over. A Samoa Joe Kenny Omega match would have been. I would have put down money to watch that, and I'll go to whatever release I need to stream it. I would have just paid to see that because that would have been an amazing match. But that being said, I didn't see any spoilers. I didn't see anything, and I watched it the day after. I didn't see anything that tipped it off, and so when I watched that and heard Joe come out during Regal's little speech there, I popped hard for that because that was so unexpected. When they release these guys, they don't come back very often, or at least not that fast. And that, when we talked about it, that was the biggest head scratcher. So I'm thrilled to death to see him back down at NXT, and he can have a career revival the way Finn Balor has when he came down. Finn came down and he killed it. And I'm sure he gets some well-deserved time off now before he pops up somewhere else. Joey did the same thing. Get off the commentary desk and take a more active role where there's, going back to being a full-time wrestler or something where he has a bigger voice, more stroke. And this is the perfect spot for him. I didn't want to see him become commissioner either, but they didn't do a good job of defining exactly during that segment what his role was. It sounds like he was offering the commissionership, and then he said no, and then, but if you do this,
condition. Right.
And I was like, okay, so what's his job then? And so
He's the
we got
muscle.
to see it more, yeah, as the show went on, that he's going to be the force that keeps everybody in line, and that fits his status. And so I'm excited to see how that goes. And so it's not by mistake that he ended up going face to face, which each of the five guys who were in the main event at In Your House. So, establishing yourself with the top dogs in the company right off the bat is a good way of establishing what Joe's position is going to be going forward. So I'm here for it.
And I was a little hopeful that he got physical with Adam Cole, that maybe he's going to be able to wrestle sooner rather than later. Because originally it sounded like, he was done for good and maybe just could do, nothing. But maybe he could get medically cleared sooner rather than later, because he choked out Adam Cole, which they did announce Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly 2 will be for the Great American Bash. Straight up wrestling match. So I'm going to assume we're going to get 3 matches out of that. Maybe TakeOver will be the final straw. I think that has to be loser leaves NXT, because I'm hearing the draft will be at the end of August, and I would think you want to call up Adam Cole by then. Kyle O'Reilly, he needs some time down there, establish himself as a singles guy. Adam Cole is beyond ready to be on the main roster. I know whatever happens on the main roster will happen, but NXT is not, he's just, there's no need for him down there anymore. So maybe we'll get the loser leaves town match for the third and final, trilogy of this. So we also saw Breezango defeat Imperium. I was very surprised by that, Greg. I don't know about, well, I'm sure you were too, because we talk up Imperium a lot. We don't really talk up Breezango, even though they were former NXT champions. And that was the first title that Tyler Breeze or Fandango had ever won, like ever. So kind of cool to see Breezango pick up the win. I hope it doesn't mean Imperium's totally fracturing. We've already lost Alexander Wolf. We haven't seen Walter back with them yet in NXT. We have seen him on NXT UK, but I think there's still legs left with Imperium. But I thought, kind of a cool upset for Breezango. How about you, Greg?
I didn't dig it. I'm not a Breezango fan. They've just kind of more of a comedy act, and I don't really dig the comedy acts unless they're really well done and thought out. New Day, they're comedy too, but they're legit. They can go, and they're, you get your bang for the buck with the team like New Day. Breezango is kind of like the dollar store version of what New Day is trying to do. Go back to the Fashion Files and the bad puns and all that crap.
Oh, I love the Fashion Files. I'm sorry. I loved it so much. I think I real quick with the fashion, I don't think they thought that the Fashion Files was going to take off like it did. I think they were just giving it and there was one of those, just make the most of it. And then, I loved it because they had such little inside stuff too that you really had to catch up on. And I thought, that was kind of, so I enjoyed it, but like you said, I could see where you're going, because their comedy at times doesn't hit. It's kind of hit or miss.
And I still haven't seen a real classic match from them. Like we get from a team like New Day, where their matches are serviceable, they're decent, but they haven't thrown down any like real classic matches that I can
like they need a good ladder match or a good title match or a good and they probably need that ladder or no DQ, something like you. And I can see that, because I couldn't tell you. Heck, I can't even remember when they won the titles, and I know that they won them. So that probably says, I felt like they won them on a TV episode, though, for some weird reason.
I can reference one match that I've seen that was probably the best match I've ever seen them in, was at a pay-per-view with the Usos.
Okay. Yeah.
I forgot what the Usos was, but I have never laughed so hard in a match as during that
Because
match.
that's when he was like dressed up as a janitor at first, right? Yeah.
Right.
That was
And
like a backlash.
there's
I
like 3 or
think.
4 different
Yeah.
costume changes during
Yes.
that match, and it was the funniest thing ever. So um, it was a great match. It was a hilarious match, and it was A+ across the board. But aside from that match, I've never seen Breezango do anything on that level. Um, so bringing the legitimacy to go with the comedy, the way New Day does. And I keep bringing up New Day because that's the closest example of getting it right that I can give you. So I'm hoping that they do something with Imperium to keep them strong, because I like the way they're made up and their message. Walter in the background, so maybe bring in a new member, do a little retool. But I hope they don't, put an end to Imperium by, jobbing out the two that are on the show regularly.
Yeah, you wonder. I think this is just a fluky upset, and I do think Imperium probably just beats the heck out of them next time they, face each other. But I mean, it's a good little rivalry to kind of build that next title contender as well. So, yeah, I am digging what Kushida's doing. We're calling up these names that we don't know necessarily. Are there independent names that had different names, and it's given a pretty good shine. Like this guy Trey Baxter, I thought he looked pretty legit with Kushida, and then we also heard that Kyle O'Reilly could pick his opponent for next week, and he picked Kushida. We don't know who Adam Cole's picking because he was choked out. So I don't know if he ever woke up to announce his opponent, but I think you should have done where you announce, like Kyle O'Reilly should announce who Adam Cole should face. Like, I'm surprised that they said, well, I'll let you name your opponent like that. Like you could have just said, well, I don't wrestle the mop, like something dumb like that. But I would have loved to do the opponent names the opponent for the other person. I was just kind of surprised they pulled that off. But what did you think about Trey Baxter and his debut? I mean, he looked pretty solid, and like I said, Kushida I think is finding his way.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I thought that's what they were doing, was picking an opponent for each other and not their own opponent. So that confused me too until Kyle O'Reilly got in the ring and challenged Kushida. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But Baxter was impressive. I liked him a lot more than some of the others they tried to get over lately, like Zoe Stark and the Saraya, the new Japanese girl. Yeah,
we haven't seen her on TV in a couple weeks too, have we?
No, we haven't, and it's probably for a reason for that. But this Baxter kid looks like he's got some get up behind him. He can go. I was impressed watching that match. It was a really good match, and Baxter held his own. He shined, and while I was still thinking that this was a pick an opponent for your opponent angle, that maybe he was going to pick Baxter to go against Adam Cole. So I like that he came out there, so you didn't know who was going to challenge. Maybe he challenged the new kid. But yeah, I'm a lot higher on what I saw from Baxter than some of the recent people they brought in. So the kid's got good prospects.
And I wonder if maybe Adam Cole will pick Trey Baxter because he thinks it'll be an easy win, and maybe you pull the upset because it's not going to hurt Adam Cole. And if so, I could see that actually happening because like you said, you had to have Kyle O'Reilly maybe think about picking Trey Baxter, but I could see Adam Cole picking him. Maybe Kyle O'Reilly comes out and does like some distraction. But I could see Trey Baxter getting a fluky win over Adam Cole. Adam Cole takes him out anyway. It won't hurt the win-loss. It will be a loss, but it won't hurt anything on Adam Cole to lose. But how about LA Knight? What he decided to do. So he got the title, and he's like, I got what I needed. And then he lays into Ted DiBiase a couple times. We have Cameron Grimes make the save, which I thought all along it made a lot more sense if you're going to pair Ted DiBiase with Cameron Grimes. I think they play off a lot better with each other. But that got LA Knight, I think, to that next level. We were kind of wondering, like, if LA Knight, was kind of just in stagnant. I wasn't getting a lot out of him. I think that kind of put him over for me. The way he really seemed confident with it, and he seemed into it. And I don't know if he had seemed into what he was doing before. That's just kind of what I was getting out of it. So I kind of want Cameron Grimes and Ted DiBiase to be a partnership, but this LA Knight with the title should be interesting. So, Greg, what are your thoughts on this whole angle with LA Knight, Ted DiBiase, and Cameron Grimes?
Yeah, I love all of it. I've made no moans about how big an LA Knight fan I am. Aside from the name LA Knight, I still don't dig it. But I'm big. Yeah, we do the DMD with LA Knight now.
Pretty much.
Yeah. But I love him as Eli Drake in Impact, and he's brought the whole shtick, the whole all the catchphrases, all this stuff over to NXT without changing a thing aside from the name. And when that guy has a microphone in his hands, I'm stopping what I'm doing to listen to him because he's that good. And I remember in your predictions when I was putting down who I wanted to win the match, I was picking Grimes just because you didn't want two guys doing the $1 million gimmick on the same show. And so how do you separate the two things? And okay, now it makes sense. Knight makes off with the title. This is the $1 million man, and $1 million man goes to Grimes the way it should have been in the first place. Mm-hmm. So it was a interesting division of the assets that I wasn't expecting, and it takes that whole doing the big money thing off of Grimes' plate and just makes him like the super heel for beating down DiBiase. And Grimes still gets to do his I'm the $1 million man kind of gimmick because he's the millionaire. And now you have two clearly defined sides to go at each other for probably the next couple months. And with DiBiase in the middle, it gives legitimacy to both of them. And it's going to raise both of them up. So, and those guys are as good as you're going to get in the ring. They're going to have some great matches. I have no doubt that ladder match, if there's any indication what we're going to have coming to us, it's looking real good. And so, I'm here for the whole rivalry with these two. And $1 million man in the middle is just going to make them all shine even brighter, and eventually bring in Grimes to the main roster. And he's going to have that instant legitimacy just for having DiBiase in his corner. So I'm looking forward to that happening maybe after the draft. So if that's happening in August, it gives a couple months with the LA Knight rivalry. And then DiBiase brings him up. Knight can say, I came out of NXT, and everybody gets elevated, looks good on their own.
I kind of thought LA Knight was going to throw the title down, like a la Shane Douglas, and say, I don't need this title. I know I won, but laying out Ted DiBiase is probably even better. Like I said, it put him at that next step, I think, to really move him ahead where he needs to be. So we did have a couple women's tag team match. Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai defeated Kaden Carter and Casey Castanzaro, kind of building themselves up, trying to get back in that tag team title picture. We also had Io Shirai out, trying to talk her next challenge. Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell came out there, and then they were fought off by Zoe Stark and Io Shirai. So we're going to get some tag team title matches, tag team women matches there. But let's go to the main event. which was Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher defeating the Grizzled Young Veterans. I was kind of surprised that GYV did not pick up the win, but I think Thatcher and Ciampa make sense to kind of get in the next title shot, and then maybe you have the Grizzled Young Veterans cost them the title shot. But it feels like these teams are going to go at it for the rest of their career in NXT, just with the hard-hitting matches and what they can do. And I'm here for it, especially if you throw Imperium in there, another hard-hitting tag team, and then you could throw Breezango in there because, like we said, we want to give Breezango some sort of legitimacy. So, what do you think about the main event there, Greg?
It was a good match. I really enjoyed that match. And I'm same with you. I'm a big GYV fan, and they're not getting wins, but they're staying in the picture. So, just by getting involved maybe where they shouldn't be, or beating them down backstage, still lends them some kind of relevance. But I'm waiting for GYV to get the titles. And I know they're trying to get over, MSK. They're still doing nothing for me. I'm more into Thatcher and Ciampa than MSK. And I would like to see them with the titles more. But now you got, baby faces going off against each other, and that's usually not the NXT formula. So I think eventually it's going to come back around to GYV. Possibly Imperium if they right the ship and get their mojo back. But this main event was a really good main event, and again, I understand Ciampa and Thatcher winning. I believe if we had crowds, they'd be on the Ciampa and Thatcher side, and it would be one of the biggest pops of the night for them too, just because of how they coexist in the ring and their story, how they came together and all that. And just those two together, they look scary. They look like a tag team that's been around for a decade instead of a year maybe. So it makes sense, but I'm waiting for GYV to get some love still. Maybe they have to go back to UK for that.
Well, I mean, unless they want, they could be here for good now because they've been on NXT for a little bit now. So, I kind of wonder if they might have just, relocated here and try to get to them going. So, I guess, we could call Thatcher and Ciampa the grizzled old veterans because they definitely have the grizzled old look going on for them. I thought this NXT really had that energy that was kind of missing here and there. It seemed like the Samoa Joe stuff really helped kind of get people tweeting more about it, getting an energy that had, it's kind of missing here and there. So really good episode of NXT. And we're going to move ahead to Great American Bash on July 6th, I think it is. Yeah, because the 4th is a Sunday. So, so I'm looking forward to the Great American Bash coming up as well on that Tuesday. So finally, let's finish up with SmackDown. We'll take one more commercial break, get you some Rogue energy talk, get you that energy going. We did see the first ever Hell in a Cell match on network TV. Pat McAfee was all pumped for it as he was announcing during the night. We had Roman Reigns, Rey Mysterio talk at the beginning of the night. I was kind of perplexed why the cell went down on Rey Mysterio. I guess it was just a visual, but you thought you would at least had, Jimmy come out there or Jay take him out at least once, but you just had the cell come down and then that was it. So not much to say at the beginning segment, but we also saw the next segment, which was Apollo Crews, Commander Aziz defeating Big E and Kevin Owens. Sami Zayn cost the team of Big E and Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens now wants Sami Zayn, and that will happen at Hell in a Cell. But I thought Commander Aziz looked fine in his debut. Wrestling in that jacket, I thought he was going to take the jacket off at some point and just have, like a tank top, real tight, nice form fitting. But he wrestled in that jacket in the whole match. So more props to him in that. A good match. I do like the team of Kevin Owens and Big E when Owens was like propping up Kevin or Big E as much, and then Big E's just like, "Yep, I got Kevin Owens as my partner," and I was like, "Well, there you go." He's like, "The wound still hurts, man. The wound still hurts," and I love that you're playing that back up. When I did enjoy that little time that Kevin Owens was with New Day, and then finally, of course, turned on them because that's Kevin Owens. And that's why I keep saying, give me the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn tag team title run. I'm praying to the gods or Allah, whoever Sami Zayn prays to. But anyway, so Greg, what did you think about this tag team match?
I agree with you. It was entertaining from the backstory standpoint of it. That Kevin Owens can forgive and forget, but not Big E. So that was funny because I think we all remember that, and so that was a nice little wrinkle they threw in there. And this whole thing was to build up the match for Hell in a Cell with Owens and Sammy, and Aziz looked decent for his first time out, and he looked strong. He was 90% of the match, and it's what we expect. And that being said, I think it looks better than Omos as far as what we've seen in the ring so far. But it was fine. Nothing too crazy, but it got its job done.
Yeah, I mean, all these guys, I feel like they just have good chemistry together. And then, Aziz is just going to get better because of working with all these guys. So, we can't forget, we also had the battle for the crown. So we officially could say that Shinsuke Nakamura is now the owner of the crown. I think we still need to lead it to a King of the Ring officially. And maybe the winner takes place at SummerSlam or something like that. But Nakamura with the crown, I think it's just going to make for good TV for the time being. And King Corbin crying, legit, nice crocodile tears by him. His former teammate and Pat McAfee was giving him some hell for that. Because I don't know if you know, but Corbin was on the Colts practice squad for a little bit when McAfee was here as a Colts player. So, and Corbin played on the Cardinals, I think, for like a season or so. But Corbin played for the Colts for a little, I think on the practice. I know for sure on the practice squad. I don't know if he ever got called up, but he was here for a hot minute. So I think that's why McAfee was giving him some crap the whole time on commentary. But and of course him dancing on the table. Michael Cole's like, you're going to hurt yourself one day, and that's just. But Nakamura with the crowd. I thought Rick Boogs was going to take him out though when he was behind the chair. I'm like, oh, watch Boogs is going to take the crown. But we probably still need Nakamura and Boogs together. So. Any thoughts on the battle for the crown match there, Greg?
Yeah, I liked it. And it makes sense. Corbin's been the king for since King Ring in 2019. So it's almost 2 years. And, we know why there was no King of the Ring last year, but it was time to turn the crown over somewhere else. And I think that maybe there won't be a King of the Ring this year, and that's why they did this match to pass the crown on without having to throw an unnecessary pay-per-view into the mix. And for the purpose of becoming King of the Ring, because it's about that time of the year. I don't remember exactly when Corbin won it, but this makes sense that it would have been around this time. So this way you can pass the crown to the next guy, have a legitimate King of the Ring pay-per-view next year, and we get King Nakamura for a year, which is going to be a lot more entertaining than King Corbin was, even though the first few months with his little man-carried sedan, the sedan, and that whole business was entertaining for a few minutes. It got old, and they finally start getting rid of all of his, little pieces of flair to steal a line from off space. The extra little things that he had, and it was just him with the scepter and the crown on. is going to be a lot more interesting with Nakamura and the things he's been doing, just with it, riding around town with it, posing with the dog, and I think he's going to have a lot more fun with it, and it's going to be more entertaining to watch.
And like we know with Nakamura, I think if you give him something he really wants to do, I feel like he's going to motivate himself to like do more with it. And then of course we did try the whole Knights of the Lone Wolf, and then that I thought that could have went somewhere with King, another avenue for King Corbin. But I do remember he beat Chad Gable because I think we were all pulling for Chad Gable to win, and I think that would have been good for Chad Gable. But it sounds like Gable's doing okay with the Alpha Academy, which we'll get to in a minute. But we also saw Bianca Belair out there, and she challenged Bayley to a Hell in a Cell match, and Bayley accepted and took her out anyways. I'm okay with this. I thought this could have been one of the matches. I know usually it's the blood, the feud of feuds, but they have been going at each other. So and I don't think you could have just done Drew and Lashley. You needed another match. So, maybe this opens up the night, and I'll be interested to see how Bianca does it there. We've seen Bayley in there, but we've never seen Bianca in the cell. And maybe this could give Bianca another, chip, another feather in her cap as far as, showing what she could do. So, Greg, how are you feeling about the Hell in a Cell match for this Sunday for Bayley and Bianca Belair?
I don't hate it. I get what they're doing. They want to give, Embassy some love by putting Hell in a Cell on their channel, and getting more eyeballs on it. And it also serves the purpose that Roman Reigns only has to do like a 20-minute match and take a little bit of a beating, and now he doesn't have to defend on the pay-per-view inside the cell, and that opened up a spot for somebody else to get in the cell. And there's been enough animosity and enough of a long-running storyline with Bianca and Bayley that it makes sense. I don't know if I wanted to see Bianca in a cell this early in her career, but you got to start somewhere. You got to build your legacy, where you can, and this may be one of those moments for her that does escalate her into a new level. She's already a superior athlete, and she's young. She's going to have plenty of moments, but you can never start too early building those moments. So we're going to go in there looking forward to a great match. I hope it's brutal and reminiscent of Bayley and Sasha. Turn it up from there. And so I have measured expectations just because Bianca is still in her infancy. On the main roster, and for her age and everything. But I'm expecting a good match, a cell-worthy match.
It would kind of come full circle, though, if Bayley won the title back, because technically, not technically, she did lose the title at the Hell in a Cell match to Sasha. So talk about a full circle moment. I don't think she's going to, but, we could. Speaking of the Alpha Academy, Otis, I'm not sure how I think Otis is another guy. The look, like he shaved the beard, he's kind of gone. I think he needs to do the hair, like, almost like Gable. You gotta lose that ponytail or something. But I'm kind of digging this Otis, just big heavy for Chad Gable, and he took out Angelo Dawkins, took out Montez Ford. I don't know where it's going to go, but yeah. How are you feel about Otis now after a couple beatdowns that he's shown?
I'm starting to dig it. When I saw him aligning with Gable, and I know they were going heel with him, and he still looked like he did, I was like, I don't get it. How are they going to do this with him? Because everybody loves Otis. But yeah, they did it. They slicked back the hair, they cut the beard off, they gave him a more of a not thuggish, but um, more of a brutish,
Yeah.
kind of look to him. He's going from the oh yeah to kind of snarling all the time, and he does look like kind of a different guy now. It's still Otis, but it's it's Bizarro Otis. And he comes out, he beats people up, he doesn't say much, and lets Gable do the talking, which is key. Um, because as soon as he opens his mouth and starts talking, we're gonna be reminded of heavy
Otis.
machinery Otis. So it's better to let um, Gable do the talking and him do the smashing. It's perfect the way they're doing it right now. So um, I'm liking it. Heel Otis is looking good. He's looking legit, and you don't think of the caterpillar. You don't think of um, the goofy stuff that he was doing before he turned. So I like the more serious Otis.
The tadpole splash. He used to
Right.
call it the tadpole splash. That finishing move too, that the left-handed clothesline with the suplex by Chad Gable, that was that looked pretty impressive. Like, because you're getting clothesline and you're getting suplex, like that's gotta feel good in the morning. So I hope they go forward with that as a finishing maneuver. And of course, we had the history-making first ever on network TV Hell in a Cell match for the Universal title. Man, Roman was laying down a lot for Ray. I give Roman props. Like this heel turn I don't know what's changed in Roman's mindset, but it's like he got it all pieced together. The chair on the head thrown into the cell a few times. Then he does the ridiculous spear through the table, misses. But then you had the Roman that we know could happen, and Roman just took over. Locked in. I think he did a different type of guillotine, where it's almost like he had the backward. He put him in a different way, and then Jimmy Uso comes out and acknowledges him, which I felt like they didn't talk that up as much. Like I think the commentary did a good job, but it felt like that could have been a little bit bigger moment because we always know Jay was on on Roman's side, and now you got Jimmy on his side. That's going to make even more interesting story for that. So I thought it was a really good, good Hell in a Cell match. I didn't like the commercial breaks. I thought that kind of took away from the momentum of it. I wish they could at least done picture because it's like, well, he's hurting him and then he's back like winning. It's that weird aspect of it. And I get it. Like if Fox said, "Hey, we want the Hell in a," well, then you're going to say, "Okay, Fox, you could get it." So. I know some people were a little bit worried about what, if they're going to do a bait and switch. They played it straight up. I mean, no, there was nothing unclean about it. I mean, Roman just went up there and, laid down for Ray as much as he could, and then he took over. So I enjoyed the match. I thought it was a really strong effort by both guys. How about you, Greg?
Yeah, it was a good match. I thought it was a bit anticlimactic, just because I was looking at the amount of time that was left when the match started, and a great match that ends with the title change. It's usually going to give you a half hour plus, and as I was, it was going to be a lot less than that. I thought it fell flat a little bit because everything that's happening. This happened over Father's Day weekend. That maybe he gets the win on this pay-per-view by some weird way, and then that carries over to a rematch on the pay-per-view, and he gets it back or something. But they didn't do it that way. Ray got his licks in and probably owned 2/3 of the match, and then Roman came and submitted him with a standing guillotine, which is not unseen in MMA circles. I've seen it happen multiple times. He just delivered it a little bit differently. If he had done it the way they do it in martial arts, you never would have got the facial reaction and everything and passing out and everything. But I get what they were doing, and he was just doing a standing guillotine, WWE style. Same way everybody goes for the cross arm breaker that is a little exaggeration of what it really is. If somebody gets that arm extended like that, they're not just going to roll over and grab the other hand and save themselves. It's a lot more difficult than that. But again, it was still a good match, but for the timing and the non-payoff, it kind of took some of the shine off of it for me. But still great job by Ray, and Roman looks strong as ever.
Yep. All right, so that is our talk on Raw, SmackDown, NXT. Getting ready for the Hell in a Cell predictions. Let's give a quick Rogue Energy commercial break. If you need some energy, get in touch with Rogue. Alrighty, we are back, ready to give you our Hell in a Cell predictions. We've already kind of given you one, but we'll go through it anyway and kind of give our talk about what we are expecting for this pay-per-view. Kind of change it up where now we got Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens on there. We have Bianca Belair and Bayley in the Cell match. So a little bit changes from where it was the previous day. So we'll kind of start the bottom there. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. I want to go first. I want to predict Kevin Owens to win. I think Kevin Owens can pick up a win and still keep Sami Zayn okay. It could build up the Sami Zayn conspiracy. I don't know if you're noticing, Greg. It feels like it's the My Pillow guy where he keeps saying that it's going to come out. Everything's coming out, and it hasn't ever come out. So I think that's kind of what they're playing off of, which is kind of weird because Vince McMahon is obviously for Trump. But anyways, that's a whole nother story. So I just kind of got that feeling that this conspiracy or this video is never coming out, and he's going to keep talking up. So, but if Kevin Owens picks up the win, you could have Sami Zayn see I was screwed again and keep playing up the conspiracy. Are you going with Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens, Greg?
Going KO. I get what you're saying, but the conspiracy angle, and of course that's what I expect after he takes the L. But what happened to the documentary guys? What happened to mentioning the conspiracy now? He hasn't said the word conspiracy in a couple of weeks, if my memory serves. So I'm wondering if it's starting to run its course. But Sammy and Kevin never gets old, and I'm looking forward to another classic with those two.
And what's funny is I'd heard they talked about this being in the Cell. And I get it, but I felt like we would need a longer program to build up for that. I don't think you could have had them say, I want the Cell match last night. I think you need a little more. So now I do think Cesaro and Seth Rollins could have played up the Cell, which is our next match. I'm going to call Cesaro to pick up the win here. I think what might happen is maybe Seth can cost Cesaro the Money in the Bank match, because I feel like they'll both be in the Money in the Bank ladder match next month. So that could be Seth Rollins' way to get over on Cesaro without pinning him or beating him. So I'm going to call Cesaro to win. Maybe Cesaro and Roman Reigns next month, but I could almost see Cesaro in the Money in the Bank match instead. Maybe a Friday night SmackDown we get Cesaro and Roman Reigns for the title, just to kind of build that up. But I'm calling for Cesaro to win. How about you, Greg?
Yeah, I agree. Seth's been getting the better of Cesaro on TV, unless you want to count the little push out of the chair. But Seth's done a lot more damage to Cesaro, and over the last month or two. So I definitely think it's a Cesaro moment right here.
All right, Alexa Bliss, Shayna Baszler. I'm going to say no contest because I think some shenanigans are going to happen. I don't think we're going to get a winner. Is that kind of where you're headed to?
That's exactly what I was thinking. Like something's weird going to happen in this match, because Shayna should break her in half. But something's going to happen. And I saw an article, but I didn't read it about that Bray Wyatt been doing, why we've seen the Fiend, and it's like I don't even want to know. But I expect him to pop up at any moment because he's been out of the picture for a while. I don't even think his image is on the when the show was coming on, the little intro montage. So I think he's been keeping off screen for a reason, and it's coming soon. So if it's not him, something else weird is going to happen, and nobody's going to get pinned or submitted in this match.
And I guess that would be interesting if Bray did come back and cost Alexa Bliss the match, because technically she kind of cost him the match against Orton, and that's the last time we saw Bray. So
exactly.
I was hearing Bray was kind of struggling with depression a little bit, and that's why he's kind of been off TV. I think he needed some more time after Luke Harper's death, but who knows? Maybe they're just trying to figure out his, kind of what's going on too. So, but I think there's going to be shenanigans in this match. Maybe a bunch of Lily dolls show up or something. So now we're into our 3 title matches. So, like I said, I wonder if maybe we open up the night with the women's championship for SmackDown, Bianca Belair and Bayley, kind of get that sell going. It's all Bianca Belair. She's going to win. I think she does take her licks in here. And because we haven't really seen Bianca in any type of, even in NXT, we just seen her pretty much straight up matches. So I'm going to be interested to see how she does in here. And like you said, early in her career, like they always say, the sell changes you for better or for worse sometimes, mostly for worse. Hopefully, don't take a bad bump or anything like that. But, I do think they play the sell up a little more safe now. So, but I do think we're gonna see some hard hitting stuff, maybe some kendo sticks involved. That seems to be their big thing. But I'm gonna call Bianca Belair for the win, and maybe Sasha appears at the end of it just to kind of get Sasha's name back in it. But I've been wondering where Sasha is. That's another one. Did she just want time off? Is there truly nothing for her to do? Because that's been an interesting one with me. So I think Bianca Belair. Well, I know Bianca Belair wins this match. How about you?
Yep, I agree. Team Bianca, and I've been thinking the same thing. It's like it's been too long since we've seen a Sasha anywhere, and maybe they're saving her for crowds too, because she is one of the pandemic heroes, but she's loved by the universe, no matter if she's heel or face. So maybe it's going to be that big moment when they're back in front of a live audience. But I can see her coming out and putting herself back in the picture at the end of this match, because who else is there after Bayley?
That's true. Yep. And of course, you do get SmackDown being the first show back, kind of on the more back tour. So I guess what better way than Sasha Banks kind of showing back, because everybody's going to get the pops there.
Right. And you get Sasha come out and go, I want my rematch. What's the next pay-per-view? SummerSlam.
Yeah. Yeah, because you would assume you're going to have whoever you already have Money in the Bank determined whoever's going to face Bianca Belair, which, like we said, I think at this point, I have no idea. But because I don't think you can revisit Bayley again. So, yeah, I'll be interested to see where they kind of go next. Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair. This one I keep going back and forth on because it's Charlotte. I'm going to say Charlotte wins by I don't want to. I'll let you go first because I can't decide. it's Charlotte. Like, I just don't know. I'll let you go first, Greg, and you can give your thoughts.
Yeah, I've not enjoyed this storyline at all with Rhea and Charlotte, just because they're so um,
Are they
ill-defined.
too similar?
Yeah, they are way too similar. They both come across as heels and trying to top each other by throwing around Asuka and Nikki Cross and just playing Mean Girls. Can you top this? Um, Whereas they should have been, keep pounding on, I beat you at WrestleMania, and leaving Rhea the more of the phase, I need to get this win back and prove myself kind of angle. And they just come off smug and, unbearable. And right now, I'm a Rhea fan now. I don't like either one of them. So I think there's going to be type of a no contest kind of finish or a double DQ, but I have Rhea keeping the title.
And I'm leaning on that. I'm going to say Rhea wins somehow, but I feel like we'll get them again at Money in the Bank. Because right now, like we said, I guess you could throw Nikki Cross in there too, but I almost feel like the Nikki Cross match will happen on a Raw, just to kind of build that up. So now, like we said, the easiest matchup to predict, Bobby Lashley, the WWE Champion, versus Drew McIntyre. I think we're going to see some real good physicality. I kind of hope they go outside the cell and do the old spot from, the side of the cell into the table, that type of deal. Get some chairs going, get a couple tables, just, let the kitchen sink out. But this is all Bobby Lashley. Mark it down in permanent marker, go to your bookie and make probably no money's back, because I can't imagine, this is going to be very high odds for Lashley. So, because I know there are sites where you can bet on this stuff, but I've never done it, even though I probably should. I could probably make a little bit of cash, especially with how easy some of these are. But Lashley for the win. And then, like we said, we got to get Drew down. Drew's got to start back at the bottom, and we got to back up the Briggs truck for Rusner, because that's your money match. That's going to get people in Vegas. Like, that's what I keep thinking. It's Vegas. Like, you want something big. You can't give me Lashley and AJ Styles. You can't give me Lashley and Kofi. Like, I mean, it. Anyways, so Greg.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I'm like you. They have had great hard-hitting matches this whole program, and so this one should be no different. But heavy on the weaponry and everything. Let it all out. Tables, ladders, and chairs. Using the pun on purpose. Bring it all out. The kendo sticks, the fire extinguishers under the ring. Use all the stuff. Don't climb the cage. Save that. But those two, we don't need to see that spot. But all the other spots, yes. Make it good, make it violent. Maybe give us a little color. I know Vince is not about color anymore. He used to be back in the day, but he's not now.
But this match could use it, I think.
Yeah, I think if you're in a cage, there should be color. And it doesn't make sense that, for as menacing as they talk about this hell being and how brutal that, us long-term fans have seen, bloody, gory cage matches that, they had so many cage matches and nobody bleeds. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, I would love to see a good bloody brawl to finish off the rivalry. And then, maybe at the end they shake hands and, give each other respect. That's the way it should end. They should kill each other in the ring, good, bloody finish, and then, give each other respect and then go their separate ways. But I could definitely have Lashley winning.
So we've never really talked about this, but do you have a favorite Hell in a Cell match, Greg, by chance? Since we'll kind of finish up, talk about the good old days of Hell in a Cell matches. Do you have a favorite one or any, obviously the usual ones stick out, but do you have a favorite one by chance that you could think of off the top of your head?
Yeah, I think I'm going to fall with the majority if they have to pick the one, the Undertaker throwing Mick Foley off the cage through the announce desk, tooth coming out the nose, getting up, crawling back on the cage, and then getting a choke slam through the cage.
Through.
Holy crap, I thought he was dead because I was like, I bet that wasn't supposed to happen. And that was one of those moments.
And the chair almost took him out.
Exactly. And that was the moment where, you don't have that many, you remember where you were when you saw this kind of moments. But I remember where I was when I saw that. There was a Buffalo Wild Wings that was not far from where I lived that showed all the WWE pay-per-views. And myself and about 5 friends who are all big wrestling fans would go and watch these pay-per-views, and the place was packed. And we were watching this, and just all of us immersed. If the waitress came up, we didn't see him, especially during this match. And when he went crashing through that table, everybody gasped because Jim Ross is going like, he killed him. We probably agree with it.
Good God, he's broken in half.
Right. And so that was one of those moments where everybody was in awe of what we were watching, and forget suspending disbelief. We thought he killed the guy because we'd never seen that happen before. And then for the match to continue the way it did, it was hands down one of the most memorable matches I've ever seen, and I'm pretty sure ever will see. So as far as Hell in a Cell, that's probably number 1, and number 2 would be the Undertaker Shawn Michaels when Kane pops up and rips the door off the cage. So those are the 2 best matches I've ever seen in the cell.
And Shawn, and apparently HBK at that time was like, he was wrecked beyond belief. Like, he should have been competing in that match. So, and then you think back to the Undertaker Mick Foley. Remember, Undertaker jumped down from the cell and I think sprained his ankle or almost broke it because he mistimed his his footing, almost, and then he's a hobbling around. So it's funny because it's not a match when you think about it. It's a spectacle. I go back to Undertaker and Brock in the cell when Undertaker had the cast and you had Brock destroying that thing. Both guys were a bloody mess, and then that's when Lesnar, I think, climbed on the top of the cage and just had the bloody shot of him on top of the cage. Yeah, and of course, Mick Foley and Triple H. They fought on the cell. That one was good. And I still think under the radar, now this is more the aftermath, was the John Cena, Alberto Del Rio, CM Punk, when Miz and R-Truth came in and just wrecked the whole event. And then we thought Miz, R-Truth was going to be something big, which it should have been. But then they jobbed out to The Rock and Cena at Survivor Series. But anyways, and that's when CM Punk won. CM Punk had won the title back at Survivor Series because he should have never lost the title at SummerSlam. But that year, that was a good year in WWE. I think it's 2012 or 2011. Sorry, that 2011-2012 time frame. That was some good stuff. But yeah, that one, I remember Miz and R-Truth. They played that up so well. You had Triple H coming out there. You had all the aftermath because nobody really knew what was going on. So, but the Triple H. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to give me an honorable mention for Triple H and Jericho in the cell.
Mm-hmm. Is that when we had did we have Jericho doing the walls of Jericho on top of the cell? I think.
Right, and Triple H. I think we had the barbed wire bat too.
Mm-hmm. But the Triple H and Mick Foley one, like they had those 3 matches that really pushed Triple H for me. Like when he retired Mick Foley and then brought him back and all that. But that was when Triple H like really took off. So it is kind of like, I guess recent times you got to think about New Day and Usos, because like you said, that gave that gave New Day legitimacy. I think it kind of gave the Usos it too, because we thought of the Usos as the high flying, super kicks, and that's really we don't think makeup and all that. So I think that was a good and that might have been the only tag team. Well, no, we've had other tag team. We've never had tag team titles defended in there, but so there's been I don't now. What is your thoughts on the red? Like the red cage, does that need to go away?
Probably not. It just makes it, stand out a little bit more.
I feel like it shows up better on TV.
Yeah,
than the old one.
I agree.
The old one was hard to see, and I would think it kind of sucked to go there live, because I don't know if it'd be easy to, what kind of vantage point, unless they show the cameras inside. But it seems like one of those that would be hard to see at live. But I joked. Some people joked they're surprised they didn't do the cage blue last night for SmackDown, which would have made sense. But I guess you don't have an extra Hell in a Cell just sitting around that you could paint blue. So,
right.
But anyways, I think I love it. It's been defended everywhere, it feels like. So I'm expecting to kind of a fun night, good night of wrestling, and get us like we said, this final push towards real crowds. Like that Money in the Bank pay-per-view next month is going to just feel normal. Everybody's going to get a pop other than Jackson Riker, but if he's even on there. But anyways, so like I think Money in the Bank next month is going to be a lot of fun, just with the crowd back. Hopefully we'll get some good Money in the Bank matches. And so thank you for watching. Thank you, Greg, for joining. Go Suns. I'll root for them, because why not? Plus I don't really care for the Clippers, so there you go. And go Hawks on the other side, I guess, because I kind of want the Bucks to win, because I feel like Giannis deserves it more so than Durant, Harden, or Irving. So
right, homegrown team.
Homegrown team, and as far as we know, Giannis will be there for the next 4 or 5 years, I think it is. I thought he re-signed or something, but I'm sure he'll be gone eventually. So, but anyways, thank you for joining me. Thanks for talking. Enjoy Hell in a Cell tomorrow night, and we'll talk to you guys next week. We'll get caught up on AEW. We kind of missed that this week, because they got to get back on Wednesdays for me so I can stay up for them, because I can't stay awake for it anymore. But you get SmackDown for 2 hours, then you're like, oh, I still, then I got 2 hours of AEW, and I'm like, okay, like and I tried to watch it this morning, but I don't think it was available yet. So I was trying to get caught up on it, and I kept trying and just wasn't available. So, but anyways, so talk to you guys later. Have a good one.
Have a good one.